LJ for president.
July 30th, 2022. Avcast 331, episode 331.
Make it miserable if you let him.
Let's go. Of course, I have a few things to share with you guys. An evening of reflection. Shall we? Cable company employee robbed, killed elderly Texas woman after service call. Now company must pay $7 billion. This especially stood out to me because how many times have you or another family member been home alone while people from the cable company or any other utility that does house calls? How many times have we let these people in and been in the house alone with them? Nobody knows that they're hiring a killer, but there still has to be some extra layer of vetting, especially for employees that's going out in the field unsupervised and dealing with customers one-on-one in most cases when they're alone with them. A Dallas County jury awarded $7 billion to the family of an 83-year-old grandmother who was stabbed to death by a former employee of a cable company on Tuesday, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported. Last month, a jury found Charter Communications, which operates Spectrum, liable for the death of Betty Thomas and awarded $375 million in compensatory damages, which Spectrum is responsible for paying 90%, the paper reported. This week, the award for punitive damages brings the total to $7.3 billion. This was a shocking breach of faith by a company that sends workers inside millions of homes every year, exactly, said the family's attorney, Chris Hamilton, in a statement obtained by the paper. The jury in this case was thoughtful and attentive to the evidence. This verdict justly reflects the extensive evidence regarding the nature of the harm caused by Charter Spectrum's gross negligence and reckless misconduct. On December 11th, 2019, Roy Holden Jr. worked for the cable company and visited Thomas's Irving home to do some work. The following day, prosecutors said Holden dressed in uniform and took a company vehicle while he was off duty and returned to Thomas's home. NBC Dallas Fort Worth reported he stabbed Thomas multiple times and took her credit cards. Where was the person or people that was supposed to ask this man, "What are you doing here off the schedule, dressed in uniform like you're coming to work?" Add to that, if a company operates a fleet of vehicles, they are fitted with a GPS or other tracking device. So where was the person or people who was responsible for asking, "Where is car 123? Why is car 123 not here? And who's driving it?" Holden was charged with capital murder. That's the death penalty in Texas. But in April 2021, he pleaded guilty and is now serving a life sentence. Following this week's verdict, Charter Communications announced it would be appealing. In a statement obtained by the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, "Our hearts go out to Mrs. Thomas's family in the wake of this senseless and tragic crime," Charter officials stated. The responsibility for this horrible act rests solely with Mr. Holden, who was not on duty, and we are grateful he is in prison for life. While we respect the jury and the justice system, we strongly disagree with the verdict. Who drew the short straw for their pension or 401k and had to get up in front of people and make that statement with a straight face? Next up, a hot mic caught Representative Matt Gaetz reassuring Roger Stone that the boss would grant him clemency and he won't go to jail. People already don't trust politicians. How do you get caught on a hot mic reassuring someone that the fight is fixed? A hot mic caught GOP Rep. Governors of Peace Matt Gaetz reassuring former President Donald Trump's ally, Roger Stone, that he would be granted clemency as he was preparing for trial in 2019, the Washington Post reported on Saturday. Stone, who had been a Trump associate for decades, was indicted on 1 count of obstruction, 5 counts of making false statements to the FBI and congressional investigators, and 1 count of witness tampering in special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia probe. If I'm doing all that dirty work, you better pull some strings and get me the hell out of jail. In November 2019, a jury found Stone guilty. In February 2020, he was sentenced to 40 months in prison, but that sentence was later commuted by Trump before he left office. At least he didn't leave him hanging. According to the Post, a month before Stone was found guilty, Getz told Stone during an event at a Trump property that he'd likely be found guilty, but also granted clemency. You're not supposed to say that. If you're in a dirty game, you gotta assume that the mics are always hot. Do you know people can record a whole conversation on something as small as a cuff link or a lapel pin? Apparently, he doesn't. The boss still has a very favorable view of you, Getz told Stone, according to the Post. What is this, a mob meeting? Getz stressed that Trump had said it directly. He also added, I don't think the big guy can let you go down for this. I can only imagine a scene where this guy is crying uncontrollably about going to prison for all that dirt he's done, and Getz is there trying to console him. The congressman told Stone that he was working on getting him a pardon, but did not want to discuss the situation further since there were many microphones backstage at the event. How's that for comedy? How do you tell someone that there's microphones all over the place and then proceed to say, hey, the boss appreciates what you did. You're not going to jail. He can't leave you hanging like that. Since there are many, many recording devices around right now, I do not feel in the position to speak freely about the work I've already done on that subject. Oh, you've said more than enough already. Trump in July 2020 commuted Stone's sentence, which he said was unjust. Roger Stone is a victim of the Russia hoax that the left and its allies in the media perpetuated for years in an attempt to undermine the Trump presidency. The then president said in a statement, there was never any collusion between the Trump campaign or the Trump administration with Russia. With all the dirt he did for Trump, I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote that statement also. Next up, woman who helped ex allegedly execute his former brother-in-law, given life in prison. So you're not just gonna beat his ass? No, we're gonna kill him. Yeah, I'm going out for some milk and some eggs. I'll be back. I'm not coming back. Catherine Magbanua received a life sentence for the 2014 hitman killing of Florida State University law professor Dan Markel. At the time of his death, Markel was engaged in a contentious divorce and custody dispute with a woman named Wendy with an I when he was shot execution style in his Tallahassee garage. Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson, was indicted in April on charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder, the Leon County State Attorney's Office confirmed to People. At the time, Magbanua, Adelson's former girlfriend, had always, why do they say that? It should be then boyfriend or then girlfriend, had already been charged in 2016. She was accused of introducing Adelson to Markel's killers, Segredo Garcia and Luis Rivera, who were previously convicted for Markel's death in what is believed to be a murder for hire. Loyalty goes two ways because it's cool to know that you have someone that's going to support you, but it's also cool to have someone that you know they're not going to put you in a bad spot. Orrin Snyder and Matt Benjamin, who represent the victims' parents, Ruth and Phil Markel, tell People in a statement Dan Markel was brutally murdered more than 8 years ago. Today's sentencing of Catherine Magbanua marks another important step toward accountability and justice. They added that they are grateful for the efforts of law enforcement and the state attorney's office in advancing the criminal case against Charles Adelson and in continuing to pursue all those responsible for Dan's murder. On Friday, Magbanua, who will not have any chance of parole or probation, was also handed a 60-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder and solicitation to commit murder. That sentence is to be served consecutively, Tallahassee's ABC 27 reports. Consecutive means that after she serves her life sentence, then that's when her 60 piece is going to start. During the sentencing, Dan's sister, Shelley Markle, shared an emotional statement. The order of our world has been cruelly reversed, she said, according to WCTV, noting that her brother was killed nearly 8 years ago to the date. It makes me so angry. Magbanua's attorney, Tara Kawas, said Magbanua does think about Dan Markle every single day per WCTV. She thinks about his kids every single day. Justice is still ongoing and has not been reached in this case, and she wants each and every person who had a hand in this to be brought to justice. So, conspiracy is openly or secretly planning to commit a crime. The basis is that she knew that this was going to happen, which means she could have stopped this. It might have meant she had to break up with her boyfriend afterwards, but hey, think bigger picture. Kawas did not immediately respond to people's requests for comment. After being sentenced, Magbanua appeared to wipe her face with a tissue. Law and Crime says a judge also granted Kawas's motion for Magbanua to have a public defender for an appeal. Also on Friday, Adelson's lawyers requested a pretrial release, to which a judge said a hearing will be scheduled within 60 days to rule on the motion. WCTV reports Assistant State Attorney George Kappelman wants Adelson's trial to begin early next spring. Fun show, fun show, fun show. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I'll be sure to talk to you guys very, very soon. Adios.